Oh, hello. Today we're going to spin the wheel, spin, 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 and we're going to talk about Labor Day. And so that's our lesson for today. So, first, let's talk about here's what. So, here's the history of Labor Day. The history of Labor Day started in Chicago at the Haymarket, they call it the Haymarket Rally on May 4th, 1886. And what the Haymarket Rally was intended to do was to lower the workday to an 8-hour workday. So that was what they were protesting back then. They were averaging 60-hour work weeks and with no overtime, no real benefits. So anyway, it was specifically to say we want to lower our workday to an 8-hour workday without necessarily taking out compensation for that. So that's kind of the general history of it. It was on May 4th, which I know sounds a little confusing right now. It turned into an international workday on May 1st, which is still an international day of observance to this day. We just don't really hear about it or talk about it very much. The history of it also marked the last day of summer. The guy who started it was called P.J. McGuire, and after these Haymarket riots in Chicago, he had this idea to have a specific holiday dedicated just to the working class, to the labors of the United States in this case. And he picked the first Monday of September because it was right in the middle of the July 4th and the Thanksgiving holiday. So it was to just give another break in between those two vacations. It turned into picnics and celebrations, always for the working class. It's like you need a day off, take a break. Like I said, picnics were a huge thing at the beginning of this. Also, on Sundays, they would spend time, the Sunday before Labor Day was a day dedicated to spiritual advancement and education on the history of labor and why we should spend so much time really honoring the labors of this country and then internationally. So there's the what. Demonstrations, strikes, riots, clashes with police over social unrest. Historical relevance. Secondly, in the history books, and as an American history teacher for a long time, I know about the Haymarket riots, and I can probably regurgitate dates. But I think looking back, I didn't really spend time to talk about the historical relevance and significance of this, especially as it's termed today. And then thirdly, somehow these riots and protests over an 8-hour workday have merely just been reduced to mattress sales, I think, in the United States. And I think that that's really horribly ironic if you think about where mattresses might come from. So, well, first thing I'd like to say is do what you want to do. Buy mattresses, don't buy mattresses, furniture, whatever it is. I don't feel like that's my job as an educator to tell you what to buy or what not to buy. Why I think it's important to teach and where I would go with this is that I want you to make informed decisions. So if you understand where the history of labor comes from and how, again, tragically ironic it is that we have mattress sales based around Labor Day today. Again, I just think as an educator, I want to give you information so that you can make a more informed decision on purchases. Because everything that we buy is based in some kind of labor. We just don't think about it. If you eat a banana for breakfast, if you have a snack, whatever you're sitting on, what you're wearing, this has come from some kind of labor. It's just, again, there's a disconnect. We don't see it. We don't see where our food comes from, where our clothes come from, where our mattresses come from. And so when it comes to the history of labor, we're completely delusional or diluted right now, or at least kept from really knowing where our products come from. So the first thing I want to say is That's not my job, is to tell you what to buy or what not to buy. I'm just trying to suggest that if you do want to have a more conscientious decision-making process in the things that we buy based on labor, um, there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of information not out there, and that's kind of frustrating for me, because what I do is I get curious, and the first thing I did this at 5 o'clock this morning was, yeah, where do our mattresses come from? How are they made? And I found it very difficult. I just found a page of ads, Labor Day mattress sales, and that's always kind of a first clue for me. It's like, okay, now what? Okay, let's start looking into this a little bit deeper. And so what I found was, I did find that there's a huge demand to want to buy U.S. products. Now, here's a problem with this right now. There are a lot of mattresses that will claim to be made in the United States. At least this is my research this morning. However, because a huge portion or a large portion of our labor comes from our prison systems, a lot of our mattresses will say that they're made in the United States, particularly dorm mattresses for some reason, and I'll include the links of these if you want to do further research on your own. But so for those of you who are moving into a dorm, a majority of your mattresses are made in prisons. And the prisoners make anywhere from 25 to 43 cents an hour. So it's a different kind of slave labor. And you can make up your own opinions about that. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that the history of Labor Day, I think, is important to know. Here's why. And what you want to do with this information is, again, entirely up to you. I'm just encouraging you to make more informed decisions on our purchases. So I'll include the links. Hopefully I'm learning this. I'm still new. I'm still nervous, but still excited. Okay. Lesson 1. See you soon. Oh, hello. Welcome back to iSchool. We're going to start off a new school year today on Labor Day. And so we're going to spin our little wheel and talk about Labor Day. So first, let's just talk about the history of Labor Day, and then I'll tell you why I think it's important. So the history of Labor Day started in Chicago. It was called the Hayfield, depending on which history book you look at, the Hayfield Riot, the Hayfield Massacre,